get in?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this special town meeting. It is good to see everyone here. My name is Paul Semino. I am your elected town moderator, and I have been informed by our town clerk that a quorum of 100 registered voters is present, and therefore this town meeting will come to order. As your moderator, I am responsible for the oversight and conduct of today's meeting, and as always, I will do my best to proceed along as fairly and efficiently as possible. We will start tonight, as we do every town meeting, by asking you to please rise as Southborough resident and Air Force veteran Stan Adamczyk leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Stan?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Stan, and you may all be seated. Our bylaw requires me to define the bounds of the hall. In anticipation of the crowd today, the clerk has set up the gymnasium as well as this auditorium. Here in the auditorium, the active portion of the hall is all of the purple seats that you're sitting in, the aisles in between, the stage in front of the big screen, and the floor down in front. Anything behind the arched doorways in the back of this auditorium is not the hall, and you must be in the hall to participate and vote. In the gymnasium, the entire space is considered the active portion of the hall. Please note that parents who have children with them to supervise are welcome to do so in the gymnasium only. All voters must be within the bounds of the hall to vote. If you leave the hall for any reason, you must return to cast a vote. Where you checked in is where you must stay. The clerk has got clickers and registration and so forth organized by location. If you need to go out to the restroom, don't go to the gym. Come back in here. For those of you in the gym, same thing in the opposite direction. Given the split nature of the hall, it is necessary to appoint a deputy moderator to monitor the activity in the gymnasium, and for that duty, I have identified Southborough resident and registered voter Tom Trong. Do I have any objection to Mr. Trong acting as deputy moderator for tonight in the gym? I see none. Thank you very much. For those of you in the gym, I'm going to ask Mr. Trong to just identify himself so you know who he is. In addition to the camera feeds of the gymnasium that I have on my monitors up here, Mr. Trong will have a direct link to the town clerk should the need arise to communicate between the rooms. Each of you were issued an electronic voting device when you checked in today. We will use these devices to quickly record votes that are too close to call or when precision is otherwise needed, thereby saving a lot of time for everyone. For just a minute at this point, I'm going to yield the microphone to the clerk, ask him to explain the voting process, especially for those who may not have been here in the past when we've used the clickers.
Good evening. Hey, before I get started, I just want to give a big thank you to the DPW workers. When it's been a miserable winter, when all of us have been inside trying to stay warm and worrying about whatever we watch on TV. They've been out plowing in the miserable weather, cold, and they had a crew out here at dawn on Friday to try to free up another 17 spaces so you wouldn't have to park a million miles, walk away. And I sincerely appreciate their help. Okay, these clickers are coded to a receiver in each room. Everybody in this room who's a registered voter should have a clicker with a white lanyard, okay? If you do not have a white lanyard, would you please raise your hand? Great. Blue lanyards are for the cafeteria. They only work in that room. So my instructions I'm going to give right now are for the people in this room, the auditorium. Very simply, if you want to vote yes, press the yes button. If you want to vote no, you press the no button. Now, it only works when the moderator has opened the vote. If you press a button on the key right now, you're going to see a letter pop up, okay? It'll say A or B. When the moderator has the vote is open, it'll say okay, and then it'll show you that your vote has been taken. All right, vote has been cast. Okay indicates that the system has received the signal and your vote has been recorded. The moderator is going to leave the vote open for about a minute and a half. While that vote is open, if you voted yes, once you see okay on your screen, you could vote no and change your mind. You could change it back and forth as many times as you want, but the system has to first recognize how you voted in order to change your vote. Whatever your final vote is, that's it. That's the vote that's recorded. Anyone have any questions about that? Okay. For the people that are in the gymnasium, those clickers we borrowed from our friends in Northborough, they're a little bit different. They have a 1 and a 2, and the word yes and no next to it. So if they want to vote yes, they press the 1 next to the yes. If they want to vote no, they press the 2 next to the no. Those instructions are only for the voters who would be in the gymnasium. Now, could the clicker response team come forward, please? Come on up front, please. All the way up front. Okay. When we do the test votes in a minute, these students have volunteered to come in, and they've helped us test the clickers. They were in here before, some of them in the office this week. If you have any questions throughout the night on the clickers, just raise your hand, and one of these students will come over and make sure it's working okay. The only problems we've ever had in the past time we use this is somebody was rapidly pressing yes and no to change their vote, and they weren't giving it this half a second it took to sync. That was it. All right, so if we could open up a test vote now, please. Okay. Fair question. Now, it's up to you to decide what is defined as hair, okay? So if you press your clicker now, I press yes, it said 1, and the word okay popped up on the screen. If I press no, 2 shows up, and then in a second or two, it says okay, my vote has been received. Is anybody having any trouble with the clickers? Raise your hand, please, if you are. Okay? Now you'll notice when the vote is going on, it shows the total of people that have voted on the bottom right, but it doesn't show how you voted while the vote's going on. We don't want to influence your vote. At the end of the vote, we will show how many yeses, how many nos. Okay? By the way, your vote, I have no idea which clicker you have. When you checked in, we wrote the clicker number on the back of the receipt, so if the clicker doesn't get returned, we'll figure it out tomorrow. We'll ask you where the clicker is in case it goes home or something. All right? So it's anonymous. I have no way of knowing who it is. And I don't know how anybody voted the wrong way on this. And I'm not going to tell you which is the wrong way. Okay, so if you notice on the top right, it says open. So when the vote is done, the moderator would say, he would look at the screen in the cafeteria. There's 2 monitors on the floor there, one for the cafeteria if we open it up, one for the gymnasium. And when the moderator says he's getting ready to close the vote, make sure there are no hands going up, and then he'll count from 10 down to 1 to go. Okay, so I don't see any hands up here. Are there any hands raised in the gymnasium?
None that I see.
Great, all right, so let's skip the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Can we close the vote, please? Interesting.
Wow.
All right. All right.
I just saw Craig like 2 days ago. Just like 2
All right.
days ago.
So let's go to the second test question. All right, now, this is an independent vote. Your prior vote has nothing to do with this one. Again, press yes or no on this, and you'll see the number pops up, and a second or two later, you'll see
the word okay, that means your vote has been received. Change it if you want to. Okay. Anyone have any questions about this? If you do,
Jim, how many checked in, do you know? I mean, it's not the case that however many of you checked in will absolutely equal the number of votes. People could choose not to vote, you know, for whatever reason, so I just want to be clear about that.
Kate. Kate Battle's in the lobby. Sean, would you ask Kate to give us an updated number, please? Okay. By the way, Scott Navaroli is the clicker king tonight. He's in charge of all the clickers. If you were to leave, if you had a problem, he'd swap it out and make it work for you, okay? All right, getting ready to close the vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, your vote is done. You might want to change barbers, Paul. That's all I got to say. All right.
You know, I used to have a full beard, and I went down to just this recently, and I think that's probably what this is about.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, folks.
I just see a few folks in the gym. Can I just ask in the gym, did you have any trouble with that test process? And you have a monitor, you have a screen showing you what we just did? Yes, I see nods, okay. All right. Okay. Okay, on we go. In New England, town meetings serve as the legislative branch of town government. Town meeting decides whether to appropriate money to run the town, considers whether to create, revise, or remove local town statutes known as bylaws. Our town operates with an open town meeting. What that means is that every registered voter in town can attend and vote on all matters before us. A warrant is issued in advance of any town meeting for voters to be forewarned about the time and place for the meeting and the substance of the matters to be considered. Tonight's warrant is a blue-colored document that hopefully you picked up on your way in. It contains just 4 articles. As a general rule, the proceedings at town meeting are governed by the rules contained in Chapter 41 of our town code, supplemented by the practices found in the latest edition of Town Meeting Time, a copy of which is available in our public library. There's been a little bit of confusion recently about whether we operate by Robert's Rules of Order. That's something slightly different, but this is Town Meeting Time. This is a moderator's Bible in Massachusetts. And in most of New England, by the way. Today we have many non-voters in the hall, subject to your approval. These people do not participate unless recognized by me, and they do not vote under any circumstance. Unlike voters who were issued a hot pink wristband, all non-voters can be identified today by their black and white checkerboard wristband. The non-voters are, I do need to read the list. It's long, but I'll go fast. The non-voters are as follows. Livia Babel, Peter Babel, both on the clicker team. Sean Waite from Imedia, our AV folks. Jocelyn Huron and Terry Underwood from Southborough Access Media. Aditi Barath, Caroline Carr, Lucy Carr, Alina Garge, Serena Garge, Zephyr Martin, Mary Moorhead, Sania O'Mealy, Urala Ranveer. Those are the kids in the T-shirts assisting us. Kristen Pasicants and Debbie Ferrante are on the check-in staff for the clerk. Jeremy Barry Kahn, the town archivist. Stephanie Cicino, former deputy town clerk. Amber Smith, future deputy town clerk. Where's she, Jim? Stand up, let the folks see you. Amber starts on March 16, but she wanted to be here tonight, and I think that's a good start. Andrew Barr, a consultant on the school roof. Ryan Clayton, principal of the Finn School. Gary Hirschuk, principal of Trottier. Todd Kittleson, assistant principal of Trottier. Keith Lavoie, assistant superintendent. Greg Martineau, school superintendent. Steve Mucci, principal of Woodward. Rebecca Pellegrino and Stephanie Reinhorn, both assistant superintendents. James Russo from the Roof Consultants. Tim Tees from the Roof Consultants. Kathleen Valente, Neary School principal. And then our town staff, Brian Ballantyne, Treasurer, Chris Creemans, Select Board staff, Bill Cundiff, DPW Superintendent, Travis Farley, Rec Director, Kate Fedorov, who's behind me, our town council, Vanessa Hale, Assistant Town Administrator, H. Hamid, IT staff, Carla McAuliffe, Town Accountant, Jay Montijo, IT Director, Ryan Newell, Chief of Police, John Parent, Facilities Director, Andrew Puntini, Fire Chief, Mark Purple, Town Administrator, and Mark Robideau, Building Commissioner. Do I have the consent of the hall to welcome these people today? Please raise your hands. Thank you very much. Now, a few important notes about our parliamentary process. As is customary, your town clerk, Jim Hegarty, and our town council, Kate Fedorov, are up on the stage with me, while your select board, advisory committee, and K-8 school committee are all sitting down on the floor down here in the front. With the exception of Ms. Fedorov, all of those people are registered voters, just like you, and it is good to be reminded that this gathering today is a formal element of town government. What I mean by that is that you are not attending a meeting of some other board or committee. You are the board or committee tonight. You are the town government tonight, and so the primary function of what we do here occurs at the microphones, in the aisles, and among you with your questions, comments, and votes. Any registered voter who has checked in today can go to any of the microphones, first state their name and address, and then speak to or ask a question about the current motion. Any voter who happens to also be a town official and wishes to join the discussion will likewise wait in the queue. All questions should be directed through me. In general, we will hear from everyone wishing to speak until I determine that things are getting repetitive or belabored, and at that point I will suggest that we vote. Typically, our proportional timing requirement, this is important for tonight, typically our proportional timing requirements for speakers, which we adopted at the annual town meeting in 2024, comprise up to 5 minutes for the moving party to make a presentation and support their motion, and then each subsequent speaker having up to 3 minutes. Those time constraints are longer than they sound. However, for tonight, given the complexity of what we are working with here, I am going to ask the indulgence of the hall. It is up to you to give our moving party for Article 1 a little bit of latitude. So, and maybe a little bit more latitude after that. So maybe 15 minutes versus 5. You know, then we'll see where we are, and if there's more to be heard and that you want to hear, we will do that. But I'd ask for a show of hands as to whether we can extend our 5-minute limit to 15 for Article 1. This is for Article 1 only. All right, thank you very much. All opposed? Okay, that passes. Before any vote today, I will remind you of the quantum of vote necessary for passage, whether a simple majority, 2/3 majority, etc., and then I will call for the vote. Tonight, we will definitely use the clickers, given the number of us that are here, and so I don't need to get into the procedures that attach to whether I call a vote, and there's some disagreement about that. With that, I have examined the call of this town meeting. Nominally, the moderator must read each article prior to the motion introducing it, unless a motion is made to dispense with that. Therefore, do I have a motion to waive the reading of the articles by the moderator in the warrant? Is there a second? All in favor? Okay, each motion will be made in turn as the article comes up. We move immediately now then to Article 1. Mr. Dennington.
Mr. Moderator, I move Article 1 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Dennington. Do we have that for the screen, guys? Hold on, Andrew.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Dennington. I'm chair of the Select Board. I'm first going to give an overview of tonight's warrant. Then I'm going to explain how we got here following the Neary vote in May 2025. And then I'm going to give some detail about each article in the Select Board's recommendations. There's 4 articles for town meeting to consider tonight. Articles 1 through 3 fund studies to evaluate different long-term school building options for our K through 8 schools. These articles don't fund actual construction projects, rather they fund studies about the feasibility and costs of different potential projects. And voters tonight can choose to fund 1, 2, 3 of the different studies or none at all. And after the studies come back, a subsequent town meeting vote would be necessary to approve and fund an actual construction project. Article 4, in contrast, is an actual project that would fund the urgently needed replacement of the Neary roof. First, some background about how in our process and how we got to tonight's meeting. As many of you know, in May 2025, we held a special town meeting to consider replacing Neary with a brand new 4-grade school and closing Finn. That proposal did not get the required 2/3 vote at town meeting or a majority at the ballot. Following that vote, a survey was conducted about why the project was not approved. This slide summarizes 4 of the key reasons. While the primary concern was the high cost of the project, many voters also said they voted no because they wanted other options considered. In conjunction with that survey, Select Board also appointed a new 7-person committee of volunteers to research up to 12 different options for our K through 8 school building configuration. And working with the school committee and the superintendent's office, that research committee narrowed that down to 3 options which correspond to Articles 1, 2, and 3. I now want to provide some detail about the actual articles and Select Board's recommendations. Article 1 requests up to $175,000 to study feasibility and design for renovating the Neary School. This is the preferred option of Select Board and School Committee. The study would return to town meeting within 6 to 9 months with different options, including a basic code-compliant upgrade and a full renovation with enhancements to support educational programming. Voters would make the final decision on any given project, which would require a 2/3 town meeting vote and a majority ballot vote. Article 2 requests up to $500,000 to study potential additions and renovations to add grade 5 at Trottier and add grade 2 at Finn. Again, this is for study and design only, not construction. Any future project would require a 2/3 town meeting vote and a majority ballot vote. This option would close Neary and redistribute grade levels among existing schools. The Select Board opposes Article 2. Article 3 requests up to $324,000 to study expanding Finn to include grades pre-K through 3. If Article 2 passes, this amount can be reduced by $80,000 due to overlapping site study work. And as with Article 2, this is for study and design only, and any construction would come back to a future town meeting and would require a ballot approval. This would also close Neary and reconfigure grade levels to pre-K through 3 at Finn and 4 and 5 at Woodward. Select Board opposes Article 3. I now want to explain why Select Board supports Article 1, but not Article 2 or 3. There are 2 key reasons for this. The first is budgetary. These studies are not free. Funding all of them would cost close to $1 million. And based on our current estimates, we can fund Article 1 and pass a level services budget for fiscal year 2027 without a Proposition 2.5 override. But funding Articles 2 or 3 in addition to Article 1 would put us over the Prop 2.5 levy limit unless cuts were made elsewhere. This slide shows you that impact. The scenarios that fit within the Prop 2.5 levy limit are shown with a positive levy balance in black, and the scenarios that don't are shown with a negative balance in red. The second reason Select Board supports focusing on Article 1 is that a Neary renovation is more realistic and practical and can be completed faster than the alternatives. Articles 2 and 3 both involve closing Neary, and there's currently no consensus on what our town could or should do with the building if it is no longer a school. So taking into account both the budget constraints and the practicalities of the situation, Select Board recommends that we focus our attention and resources going forward on different ways of doing a Neary renovation. This slide shows you details about Article 4, which Superintendent Martineau will explain in further detail momentarily. So to conclude my remarks on behalf of the Select Board, our hope and our ask here tonight is that town meeting pass Article 4 to fund the most urgently needed repairs at Neary now. And through your deliberations and your votes on Articles 1, 2, and 3 tonight, give us some sense of what direction you, town meeting, want to take for the long-term solution to our school buildings. The recommendation of the Select Board and the School Committee is to focus on different ways of doing a Neary renovation, but the ultimate decision here lies with you, the town meeting voters tonight. I'll now turn it over to Superintendent Martineau.
Okay, hold on one second, please. Do I understand that you want to cede the rest of your 15 minutes to the
Yes,
superintendent?
with your permission, I'd like to.
With the hall's permission, yes? Superintendent of schools? Thank you. Superintendent Martineau, please.
So, good evening. I'm Greg Martineau, and I have the privilege to serve as the community's superintendent. This morning, I had an opportunity to visit a few classrooms, and we were in a first grade classroom, and this student came up to me and said, "Mr. Martineau, please no more snow days." And please no more snow. I immediately gave her a high five. I could not have agreed more. Article 1. The school committee unanimously supports. The funding builds on the preliminary studies that were completed during the Neary, Massachusetts School Building Authority process. The Margaret A. Neary building has served the community well for the past 56 years. However, today, it has real limitations and needs improvements. The article funds a professional feasibility study and schematic design that develops 2 to 3 options that range from a targeted code compliance plan to a comprehensive renovation plan to bring to a future town meeting. Why renovate Neary? The district has a successful proof of concept of renovating an existing school. In 2014, the Northborough community engaged in a school renovation of the Lincoln Street Elementary School. Constructed in 1960, the building had similar conditions to Neary. After a successful comprehensive renovation and addition, the Lincoln Street Elementary School is now a modern, safe, comfortable, and accessible building that meets today's educational programming needs. I want to make it clear that Neary has sufficient square footage to support current and future enrollment. The issue is infrastructure and layout of the space. The roof has failed and is well beyond its useful life, leading to water infiltration and exterior leaks. The electrical service is overloaded. We've received corrective citations, and we experience frequent breaker trips. The HVA system is outdated, inefficient, provides no cooling, and does not meet current energy code standards. The building predates modern life safety and accessibility requirements. It does not have a sprinkler system. Asbestos must be addressed, and updates are required to meet American with Disabilities Act standards. Let me give you a brief tour. The gym is split by a permanent wall into 2 smaller gyms. This means the school does not have a full elementary size gymnasium. This limits the physical education programming and the school's ability to have school-wide assemblies. In addition, these constraints limit the ways the community can use the gymnasium. Currently, the Neary Elementary School kitchen is a warming kitchen. All meals are prepared at Trottier and transported to Neary on a daily basis. Imagine hosting a banquet daily and having to cook, transport, and set up each day. This is the current reality at Neary. Most classrooms at Neary have 4 wall plugs. which is not code and does not support the current demands of a modern classroom. With laptops, projection systems, and other electrical demands, teachers try to accommodate by using multiple surge protectors, which ultimately overloads the circuit. The electrical system has reached its capacity. The picture on your right is the entrance to a special education classroom. You'll see the faint lettering, dressing, on the door, as this space was originally a dressing room for PE class. As you enter the door, you walk into a hallway and a second door, which is not ADA compliant. And the picture on your right is a special education space where students receive occupational therapy and physical therapy. In this space, there are no windows and the space size is inadequate. The music space on the left is a converted classroom that is about 1,000 square feet. The MSBA recommendation for music space is 1,500 square feet. In addition, it's not designed for the acoustics of a music room. It does not include instrument storage. These photos are of the entrance to the second music room, which are not ADA compliant. These entrances lead to the space in the next photo. The picture on your left is the second music space. It is an adequate space and size, but the layout is not accessible to all students. Additionally, the ceiling tiles contain asbestos and there are no windows in the space. In the photo on the right, the current art room is a little under 900 square feet. The MSBA recommendation is 1,200 square foot classrooms plus storage. The bathroom entrances, as shown in the slide on the left, are not ADA compliant for students, staff, and general public. Additionally, in the photo on the right, closets have been repurposed into office spaces for staff. The photo on the left is of a hallway which leads to the temporary modular classrooms added in 2001. Due to space constraints, educators often use the hallway as a place for individual or small group learners to work with each other or an educator. The photo on the right is a typical classroom, which are adequately sized. I will note the coat and backpack area constrains the space and the way it can be used. The photo is the stucco surrounding the gymnasium roof, which has significant cracking and deterioration. And in some areas, the stucco has broken off. This photo is of the roof above the gymnasium. The roof has detached from the decking, insulation is pooling under the roof, and these conditions exist throughout the roof. This photo is of a classroom univent, which is original to the building. It's inefficient, difficult to control the temperature, and parts are no longer made. Article 2. The school committee unanimously opposes Article 2. It's important to understand the context. Trotter was constructed in 1996 with an addition added in 2001. Finn was renovated and expanded in 1996, adding a new gymnasium and kindergarten classrooms, and again in 2001, expanded to add another wing of classrooms. What is being proposed here would be a second addition to Trotter and a third addition to Finn. Both sites present significant challenges. At Trotter, there are wetland constraints, parking limitations, and septic capacity constraints, as a variance was approved during the 2001 edition. At Finn, there are existing parking and traffic challenges. The recreational fields were funded through Community Preservation Committee funds. Relocating them would require legislative approval due to a change of use. The town would be responsible for recreating the facilities. That adds another layer of complexity and uncertainty. If one site is not feasible, then Article 2 is not a workable solution. It's also important to highlight that Trotter and Finn have not been studied by an architect as part of the NERI process. The studies of Trotter and Finn would be brand new. The school committee unanimously opposes Article 3 for the reasons identified with Article 2. And lastly, Article 4. The school committee unanimously supports. This is about immediate action. This article authorizes the town to borrow and appropriate $6.85 million to replace the failed Neary roof and address critical ADA and code compliance needs. Of that total, $4.5 million is for the roof replacement, $2.1 million is for ADA upgrades, and the remaining is for determining costs for any code compliance items. Let me be clear, the roof has failed. It's 16 years beyond its expected life. We have active leaks. Water infiltration continues to impact the building envelope, and every season we delay, deterioration accelerates. Our responsibility is to protect this public asset, a building that serves our students and staff every single day. Equally important, this article addresses safety and accessibility for our students. ADA upgrades ensure our facility meets current standards and that all students, staff, and visitors can access the building and its programs safely and appropriately. If Article 1 passes, the funding for ADA and code compliance would be removed from this funding request.
Superintendent Martineau, you're right at time. It sounds like maybe you're about to be.
I'm so close. Thank you.
Yeah.
But regardless of other votes, the roof cannot wait. The roof architect, Socotec AE Consulting, recommended replacing the roof now to protect the building, even with a potential renovation. Article 4 is the immediate, responsible step to stabilize and protect Neary. And again, the school committee supports Articles 1 and 4. Thank you.
All right, the motion on the floor is Article 1 as printed in the warrant. Any comment or question about Article 1? Microphone A, please.
Mr. Moderator, my name is Beth Whitcoff, 3 Schuyler Drive. I move to amend Article 1, Option 2 by striking out said plan shall include the following items: A, new or repaired roof; B, ADA compliance; C, removal and/or containment of asbestos; a fire suppression system; E, maintenance and component replacement of HVAC system; F, painting and repair of exterior brick and concrete. Option 2 shall target a cost that does not exceed $15 million, less the cost of the roof and/or ADA compliance, if otherwise appropriated, or do or act to anything in relation thereto, and inserting to meet minimum code compliance.
All right, first of all, have you submitted the motion to the clerk in writing?
No, I just wrote it today.
Okay, well, we have to have it in writing to the clerk, but first of all, does it receive a second? Okay. We're going to have to come up and provide the clerk with the exact wording of your motion. Can we put the motion on the screen?
Hey, folks, just an administrative issue. If anybody plans to do another amendment tonight, could you please come up and save the hall a bunch of times by filling the paper ahead of time? Because we can't do anything, action on this until we review this and type it up and stuff. So if you do have an amendment, come up and see me now, and we can fill the paper out and save everyone a lot of time, okay? Thank you.
Folks, while the clerk is reviewing the amendment, staff is working on putting it up on the screen so you can see what it was and what the proposed amendment will be. That's coming up, so just need a couple minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to explain why I did this. Because Al's up there. Julie was. Mr. Moderator? I'm happy to explain the purpose behind my amendment.
I understand. We need to do this first.
Okay.
Anyone with a good, clean joke is welcome to come to the mic. I'll start. What do you call a guy who just finished emptying the dirt out of a hole? Doug. Anybody else? No, you have to go to a mic. Why did Tigger put his head in the toilet? To find poo. See, that's not, I should not have let you do that. We want G-rated. That's a PG. Okay. When it's on the screen, I'll go.
Mr. Moderator, I have a joke.
Doing well. G-rated, yes?
Yes.
Go ahead.
What does the janitor say when he comes out of the closet? Supplies.
You know, the one about the horse walks into a bar. The bartender says, "Why the long face?"
Out all of the A through F. They just say minimum code compliance. Right. Option one. No, Article 1. Not at all.
You're the row with the fewest people.
And we know that. We were taking it personally. Wow.
All right, folks, let's come back to your seats. Give everybody a minute to get reoriented back to the screen. Let's just do it half and half. Let's put the top half up. Yeah, leave it right there. A little more, scroll. All right, hold on. Yeah, I don't know. Let's just put option 2 at the top of the visible screen. There, because there's nothing changing before that. There's a bunch of folks in the gym that have left their seats and are not back. I want to give them 10 more seconds. Ms. Whitcoff, are you prepared to speak to the motion now?
Certainly.
All right. As a reminder, this is a motion to amend Article 1, moved and seconded by Ms. Whitcoff. Go ahead and explain your motion, please.
So I am completely in favor of a full renovation for Neary and meeting code compliance. And so I just feel that the A through F makes it difficult to understand, and we should just do the full renovation. I also don't believe that we should put a cap on this at 15 million, because if meeting minimum compliance costs 16 million, we should not have to have another town meeting to get approval for that additional money. Meeting minimum compliance will have the town spending what we need to spend to have the building brought up to code and have a safer building for our students and staff.
Okay. First of all, the lines at the bottom of the screen, guys, that's not from the original. Okay, but can we just get rid of it? I apologize, folks.
That's it. I did. No, it's not.
All right. Ms. Whitcoff, you are not in favor of piecemeal. You want a full renovation. So you don't want a lesser option 2 is how I understood what you had to say.
Correct.
And I didn't mean, I thought maybe that was all you had to say, and that's what the reason why you've done what you've done, which is basically you struck the substance of option 2 and you've added code compliance.
Correct.
Okay, which code, by the way?
All of the codes.
Okay. Any other comment or question on the motion to amend? Mr. Hamilton.
Good evening, Al Hamilton, 35 Pine Hill Road. I am actually the author of this option to place a less expensive option before town meeting, but this is really not driven by my personal cheapskatedness, but rather by demographics. The long-term birth rate in the U.S. is about 1.6 children per woman of childbearing age. You need 2.1 just to maintain the current population. So we see that over the long term, we can expect our K-8 populations to decline. I should note that Massachusetts has one of the lowest fertility rates in the country. That being said, we do expect a modest increase in our K-8 populations over the next few years. And this is really an echo of the baby boom. In fact, it is the grandchildren of the baby boom, my grandchildren. So this option is intended to preserve the viability of the Neary School for approximately 15 years. That is about the point where making a decision to move to a 3-school option will probably make a lot of sense, particularly because in that time frame, we will have to be looking at renovations at Finn and possibly also Trottier as they reach, as they begin to mature. So as the list of items on here are the list of known deficiencies that have been talked about in the community for some substantial amount of time. And so they are identified. I do need to make it clear that whatever we do will have to be code compliant. It's not an issue, it's not a choice, it's not an option we have. When we make those changes, we will have to follow the building codes just as any other developer would. And then finally, the number is, and we arm wrestled over this for quite a while, it's a target of 15 million. It is not a hard and fast number. It is a goal. So that if, for example, a committee were to go and look at all of this and said, well, we think we can do these things and perhaps we need to do a couple of others and it's 16 million, but we could come back before this body and hold our heads up and say, this is just fine. And so I urge you to reject this option and leave the original wording in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments or questions? Let's go to microphone D. Unless, do either of you know who got there first? Because I apologize, I don't. All right? Mr. Butler.
John Butler, 4 Davis Road. I don't think we should approve this amendment. I understand Ms. Woodcoff believes that we should do a comprehensive renovation, but the problem we had last May was that we didn't have choices. We had people saying in the survey afterwards, we didn't have choices, we didn't have we wanted some lower cost options. We need to get something done. In order to get something done, we need to present people with some reasonable choices. This defines a choice that we should have before us to consider so that we are able to move forward because we have those choices. So I don't think we should gut this choice by eliminating these targets. We should have some choices when we come back together and have those researched. So I don't think we should restrict ourselves by passing this amendment. I urge you to defeat it. Thank you.
All right. Microphone B.
Mark Davis, 13 Schuyler Drive. I rise in support of Ms. Witkoff's amendment. Having been involved in countless bid projects and construction projects, option 1 is a complete analysis of that building, top to bottom, and what the numbers will be attached to each and every code, anything else that we do in that building. I made this case to the selectmen several weeks ago. This option 2 is very confusing because it has a number attached to it, and we're not at that stage yet of assessing what the number should be. A through F will be included in the complete budget for fixing the building. So we'll have a budget for the fire suppression, or I'm going to call it a sprinkler system. We're going to have ADA compliance. We're going to have a line item for the electrical compliance. We're going to have a number to fix the parking lot and the drainage system that doesn't work. We're going to have a number for asbestos removal. We're going to have a number for removing the lead pipes and all the tiles in the floors. At that point in time, the bid will be so detailed that you literally can pull that number out and go ahead and make a proposal at a future town meeting at whatever budget you want with all these numbers. So to ask everyone We're going to get this information anyway, and that's what has made this so darn confusing. I've had to answer 30 times what this means. And without it, we're going to get there anyway, and Mr. Hamilton can bring up a proposal when we get to that stage. But we're not at that stage yet to come up with a number and figure out what we're going to do. We will have all that information in the bid documents.
All right, thank you, Mike C., and then Mike A.
Thank you. Mike Sapansky, 185 Corderville. I make a motion that we approve the changes and accept this as the new Article 1.
Okay, so that's what we're discussing right now.
Yeah.
We're
Can we-
discussing whether to do what you just said.
Can I make a vote? Can I make a motion so that we move forward to the vote?
You want to move the question?
Yes.
Not quite yet. I just want to take microphone A. Okay. A motion to move the question. Wait a minute. Go ahead, Mr. Pfaff.
Andrew Pfaff, 50 Oak Hill. My understanding of the amendment, whether I'm for it or against it, is we're still going to have two options. We're going to go from having, it's still going to be, now it's going to be an option that only addresses deferred maintenance and improvements for 15 years and minimum code compliance, which the itemized is more than minimum code compliance. So we're still going to have to do all the work for two options, but it's going to be an even more likely cheaper option. So I don't know. I understand what we're trying to do here. I don't think that the motion does that. So just wanted to throw that out there.
All right, thank you. Let's go microphone A, and then I will address the motion to move the question.
Howard Rose, 2 Bantry Road. I agree with Mr. Pfaff that I don't think that's what was said in the motion, but I also would like to disagree with the past comment that as someone who has done these cost studies, the second one is a direction to the people doing the study of what is desired. They will do the full study, they will get all the pieces, but the second one requires them to do the option of the more budget one without going overboard. So I encourage you to strike this down and go with both options so we have the choice of seeing them and have it done properly. Thank you.
All right, the gentleman who went to the mic over here, come back. All right, so just to explain, a motion to move the question means we stop talking. We have to immediately go to a vote on whether we stop talking. If that passes, and that's 2/3, then we go to a vote on the actual motion to amend. All right? So the motion to move the question is not debatable, it just is, and it's immediate. So I heard a second. All those in favor of stopping talking about the amendment, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Okay, I declare a 2/3 majority to move the question. Now we come back to the amendment itself, and you can sit down now, sir. Thank you very much. The amendment. Yes, and by the way, there are folks in the gym raising their hands, et cetera, and they're included in my assessment. The amendment itself, this is a straight majority vote. All those that are in favor of Ms. Witkoff's amendment, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Okay, that motion fails. So now we are back to the original motion on Article 1. Any other comment or question about Article 1? All right, I'm looking at the gym, nothing in the gym, nothing here. So Article 1 requires a majority vote. All those in favor of Article 1, the motion under Article 1, please raise your hands. I hear what? What's the question? I mean, one of my jobs is to read the room, folks, and keep us moving. So that was a majority vote. I didn't call for all opposed, but I'll do it now. All those opposed? We're voting on the original motion by Mr. Dennington on Article 1. I'll do it one more time. All in favor of Article 1, raise your hands. All right, I see the Jim. All opposed? That's a majority. That motion carries. We now go to Article 2. Mr. Flynn. We're gonna see where we are in each one.
I move Article 2 as printed in the warrant.
All right, please, name and town, please.
Tim Fling, 18 Main Street, Select Board. I move Article 2 as printed in the warrant.
Does it receive a second? Second. All right, Mr. Fling.
So we truly are at a junction point today. Any study that does not get funded is no longer viable going forward. It's a simple majority today, so 2/3 is needed in the future. Article 2 would answer without a shadow of a doubt what it would take for the town to maximize its existing school building footprint within Finn and Trotter, what space deficits exist, and what systems, septic site or other would limit that opportunity, as well as the cost to fix it if possible. It would confirm the work the Pre-K to 8 Southborough Building Committee did and validate the cost of additions renovations necessary to ensure educational excellence.
All right, thank you. Any comment or question about Article 2?
Did you ask advisory for their opinion?
Yes, just a second, sir. Can we, advisory is, or I'm sorry, Ms. Cook has asked to hear from advisory as to their position on Article 2. Ms. Jones.
Hello, Gail.
Hello, everyone. Advisory voted not to support Article 2 as written, and we considered this as the most expensive study option, and also based our vote on well-documented concerns, including septic, traffic, site complexity, and overlap with other studies. And for those reasons, advisory did not support Article 2 with a majority vote of 6 people not in favor and 1 in favor.
All right, thank you. Microphone B, please.
Yes, Paul Carter, 6 Hillside Avenue. Since we're talking about space needs here, I ask, what is the existing and proposed enrollment of grade 2 and grade 5? I ask, what is the existing and projected class size of grade 2 and grade 5?
I'll start with Mr. Fling. Mr. Fling, do you have that data? How about the school committee or the superintendent? We'll give him a minute. So the questions are total enrollment for grade 2 and grade 5 and class size for grade 2 and grade 5.
Yeah, existing and proposed class sizes, yes.
Ms. Malinowski, do you have that?
I know what the current enrollment is for grade 2. Currently this year is 121 students. There's 6 classes. Class size policy is 16 to 20 students per class. We are 1 student over because we had some move-ins we weren't expecting over the course of the year. And then I believe grade 5 is 131. There are also 6 classes per for 5th grade this year, but those 2 classes compared to the classes around them are smaller in scale. For example, the 3rd grade class is 8 classes because they have 153 students this year.
Thank you.
The projection for the next 10 years is a 20% enrollment increase through 2035.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Microphone D.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Tom Gittin, 73 Flag Road. I have a question about the funding and the Prop 2.5 override. As I understand it, we just voted for Article 1 to go through, and because of the numbers and the free cash flow, we don't need Prop 2.5 override for that article to be funded. Now, if we add Article 2 and Article 3, which is what I would personally vote for, it looks like then we need a Prop 2.5 override. And my real question is, if that's correct, first of all, and we don't get the Prop 2.5 override, would Article 1 still be completed?
Ms. Jones. Okay, Mr. Pfaff.
Andrew Pfaff from Advisory. So the 3 articles today would come out of last year's free cash, so it's really agnostic of next year's budget and the levy capacity. What the select board showed was the projected budget for next year, and with the consumption of free cash would do what the budget looks like today. If all 3 articles are passed, and we anticipate that would cause us to go into a negative levy capacity, both select board and advisory would look at the budget to see if there was other things we could move to try to make it go back into not needing an override, or we would request an override. But what we're approving today will not cause the override or have any issue with Prop 2.5.
So if we vote for all 3, it's going to go forward regardless of any Prop 2.5 override.
Correct.
Thank you so much.
All right, other comment or question about the motion under Article 2? All right, let's use the clickers. This requires a majority vote. Can we set this one up, Mr. Town Clerk? It's already set up? All right, in 10 seconds, I'm gonna open the vote. As a reminder, in the gym, it's 1 for yes and 2 for no, right, Jim? Okay. And here it's yes or no. All right, let's open the vote, please. All right, Jim, we're approaching 400. Sounds right? Okay. I won't close it until anybody who's having trouble raises their hand and lets us know they're having trouble. Our CRT, our clicker response team, is standing by in the back. How about in the gym? I see, looks like most people are doing what they're doing. No troubles. Okay. Anybody here? I don't see any. All right, I'm going to close the vote in 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, that was a majority vote. 66 yes, 332 no. The motion fails. Article 3, Mr. Fling.
I move Article 3 as printed in the warrant.
Does it receive a second? All right, Mr. Fling.
Article 3 recommits a school facility to the south side of town for likely the next 40 to 50 years. Finn will be near the end of its expected lifespan around the year 2060. By tackling a renovation addition project at the building now, we get a school off that capital cycle. We won't have 4 buildings due between 2060 and 2068. It also studies expanding the school to a 5-grade setup, pre-K to 3, for better consolidation of grades and less transitions. This article will build out real numbers, and the best estimate from the pre-K to 8 school building committee put the scale of this project around the same space as that of a Neary renovation, a full Neary renovation.
All right, thank you. Comments or questions about Article 3?
Can you do advisory again?
Yes, first let's go to advisory and have them explain their position. Ms. Jones.
Yes, advisory did not support Article 3. While this option received more support than Article 2, we still had significant concerns, including the cost of the study, environmental constraints, highway adjacency, and some land use concerns as noted in prior evaluations. which led us to believe this was not a really feasible option. The committee voted 3 to support, 4 not to support, and overall, we did not support Article 3.
All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Sharon Shoemaker, 22 Wood Street. I was just going to ask for the advisory minority report.
Anybody want to volunteer for that?
Testing. So Eric Glazer, 9 Scholar Drive, part of advisory. My vote for yes was the same reason why I actually voted for all 3. And it starts with the feedback that we got from the town meeting back in May, where I think one of the 2 major complaints were the cost of the building, but also, perhaps more critically, there were no options that were presented. And so when we did the work over the summertime as part of the pre-K to 8 committee, we looked at 10 options, 7 of which would have met the requirements for education from the district and the school committee. And of those 7, 3 are presented here tonight. So it's really about presenting you, the voters, the alternatives to a NERI-only option. So in principle, you look at these, if you don't support the option, that's fine, but at least you've been given the option to vote on it. And so in my mind, specifically on this one, it's interesting to add grades to Finn because you're also solving a potential, well, eventually a capital issue that'll come down the road in about, say, 15, 20 years when that building needs to get worked on. And also invest in a school on the south side of town, which, you know, from, again, feedback from the meeting back in May was something that could have been deemed attractive. So that's sort of my perspective on that. I know there were some others who also voted in favor of option 3. If they want to speak, feel free.
Thank you for that, Mr. Glazer. Other comment or question on the motion on Article 3? Yes, right here.
Christian Belfontaine, 12 Orchard Road. I was curious why for Article 3, it isn't broken out into 2 parts of a feasibility and then everything else where Article 2 was, where if it wasn't feasible, they wouldn't move on to the second portion.
Mr. Fling, I'm going to give you the first chance on that. All right.
I can answer the question. Okay. So 64,000 would be for the owner's project manager. The site study would be $80,000. So some portion of the OPM would go towards the oversight of the site study. So presumably 80,000 plus whatever the OPM fee would be up until we determined if the site was feasible or not. And then the building study is 180,000.
Okay, I guess I'm curious if, because in Article 2 it was clear what was feasibility versus then moving on to drawings and so
Sure.
forth. So would it be the same for Article 3 that there'd
So
be
it would be
some-
324 less 180. So it would be
144.
144.
Okay, so 180 would be for feasibility.
144,000 would be for the OPM and the feasibility.
Okay.
I don't have the breakout of how much the OPM would cost during the site study. And then
that's okay.
the building study would not start unless the site was feasible, and that part's the 180.
Okay, so would it work the same way though as the Article 2, where if it's not feasible,
Yes.
only 144 would be spent?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Microphone C, yes.
Rob Lawrenson, 132 Marlborough Road. I'm interested to know the constraints, if it's possible to expand on those. I'm not asking for a 10-minute explanation, something short and sweet, as to why Finn is not a feasible option or viewed to be a feasible option to spend money on.
Sure. Thank you for the question. So there's site constraints at Finn related to parking and traffic currently there now. If you're ever there at drop-off or pickup time, there's a lot of traffic on Richards Road in Parkerville. There also is parking constraints when we have events for the students during the day, and parents are invited to come into the building. You'll see us park, the parents will be parked on Wildwood. We don't have enough capacity there as it is now. The other concern that school committee has is that the fields, Mooney Fields, are actually a separate parcel, not under the same jurisdiction, or the same plot as where the current Finn School is. And those are in those fields are in Chapter 97, which means that they're protected by the state. So in order to look at an addition that would need to go on part of the fields, we would have to petition the state legislature, which is possible. However, you have to recreate the recreational assets that are currently in existence on the Finn fields. So the school committee is concerned with is that where those fields would go, the cost of potentially acquiring any land or taking current land and the cost to recreate those assets. So those are the general reasons why the school committee is concerned with the logistics related to Finn.
May I ask a follow-up?
Yes.
Do you have a sense on if is that one entire parcel or is it multiple parcels next door where the fields
Mooney
are?
Field?
Yes.
I believe it's one parcel related to the fields, which would include the pickleball courts that were partially funded by Community Preservation Committee, as well as the lights on Eric Green Field. Those were both done by Community Preservation funds.
Okay. Have we looked at, just curious, have we looked at if there's space in town to move those fields?
So that's outside the purview of the school committee.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Cook.
Kathy Cook, 11 Greystone Way, member of the Select Board. One thing I want to reiterate that Mr. Dennington said a while back to make sure everybody understands, if this article, as Article 2, would have passed, that means Neary is closed as a school. Article 4, which is a roof, is something we are strongly encouraging people to vote for. If that happens, we will have spent $4.5 million on a roof for Neary, and then we close the building. So what do we do with it? That building, even if it's not a school and remains a town property, would require millions of dollars to be able to continue to use, or you demolish it and throw away the $4.5 million on the roof. So keep that in mind when you think about this article.
Other comment or question on the motion under Article 3? Nothing in the auditorium, nothing in the gym. This requires a majority vote. Let's keep it rolling with the clickers. Everybody ready? Okay, let's open the vote. Again, any issues at all, please raise your hand. All right, we'll give it 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, close. All right. Required a majority vote at 75 yes, 332 no. So the motion under Article 3 fails. Yep. Yep. Mr. Haggerty's just let me know that there are 423 voters checked in, which jives with what we're seeing. All right. Article 4, Ms. Cook.
I move that the town will vote to borrow and appropriate the sum of $4.5 million for the purpose of funding costs associated with the replacement or repair of the roof at Margaret A. Neary Elementary School.
Does that receive a second? All right, Ms. Cook, I assume you're going to speak to why the numbers changed.
I'll speak to that, then I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Malinowski and Mr. Martineau. So the number changed because if Article 1 passed, which it did, we would not do any ADA work with the roof. We'd wait to do that with the complete renovation at the same time so it wouldn't be so disruptive. So we just had both in place. So we're now taking out the ADA work from the number that was in the first article to only show the current estimated costs of replacing the roof.
All right, so we have a presentation on this. 5 minutes?
Mr. Moderator, we do have a presentation with our SoCo Tech consultants who did the work on the roof, and I'll leave it up to you to ask the hall if they would like to hear from them.
Well, I'd like to see what our comments or questions are first, but I won't take a vote until we give another chance. So let's start with comments or questions about Article 4. Mr. Butler.
John Butler, 4 Davis Road. Is this going to be made subject to a capital exclusion vote at the ballot box?
Yes.
So
The answer was yes.
Yes.
All right, microphone B.
Stephen Shade, 32 Flag. So is this commenter, is this a motion to adjust Article 4 since we're reducing the amount? I recognize that we've already voted to put the ADA compliance piece in the study of Article 1, but if that, as it's written, again, this is going to move that work along much quicker. So is this an adjustment to that article as it's written?
So this is a matter of, it's a good question because a lot of people can always use a refresher on this kind of thing. The warrant article is the topic. What Ms. Cook said is the motion. So the motion does not have to match the warrant, and in this case it didn't for the reasons that she explained. So she's not amending anything, she just made her original motion in a lower number, which is allowed.
Okay, so just clarifying that your motion at this point means that despite the clear deficiencies of the ADA compliance for our students and our kids, we're motioning to not address that at this time, wait until the study results, and do construction at a later date.
Yes, we're hoping to bring this back in the late fall to actually get a vote on the actual project and get this done as soon as we possibly can with no intent not to do all the ADA work that needs to be done. It would be more efficient if you did it all together instead of piecemeal and disrupting the school. So we absolutely want the ADA work to be done, but if we renovate the school completely, it would be the better time to do it than do it with the roof.
But if we say as soon as we possibly can, that would actually, we'd be approving that if we went with the article as it was written, as the warrant was written today.
So the motion overrides the article. Does that make sense?
Yes,
So
no, I
we
understand.
knew we were
I'm
going
just
to,
trying
we
understand
knew if
why.
Article 1 passed, we would reduce this. This was always the plan. We didn't know if it was going to pass, so we had to leave the ADA in there in case we needed it. So once it passed, we knew we didn't need it in there. We would do all the ADA work when the school is completely renovated, if that's what ends up being the project.
Okay,
Approved.
understood.
All right, Mike C, and then back to D.
Rob Lawrenson, 132 Marlborough Road. I think I need a quick refresher because I thought I had read somewhere along the way that there would be a trigger for additional work if the cost exceeded a certain percentage of the value of the school. Is that not correct? So can somebody remind me?
You did read that. The ADA trigger is 30% of the assessed value of the school. We don't have the 1/126 value yet. Mr. Sabelli is working on those. It is expected that when the value comes out, we probably will be well under. We don't know what the bid's going to be for the roof anyway. This is an estimate. So you got to get the bid, and then you really know what it is. So there's a chance that we would trigger ADA with this, but what he has said is it doesn't mean you've got to do it right away. We still should be able to do it with the big project.
Do you know how much wiggle room we have right now based on value and this cost?
The current value, assessed value is between 11 and 12 million dollars. So 12
let's
times
call it 12. So
12
this-
times 3 is $3.6 million. There's a cushion built into this number. So we're close, but the 1126 value is expected to go up. He hasn't addressed this value in a long time. He knows now it's important, so he's going to address it and come up with a more up-to-date value when he finishes work later in the fall.
So wouldn't it make sense to approve a higher amount and then not use it if you don't need it, so that we don't then have to come back and do this again?
Go ahead,
Can I
Ms.
address that?
Malinowski.
Thank you for the question. It's been recommended that if we are to move forward with a renovation project, which now is a potential, that they would recommend that we do the ADA upgrades as part of the full renovation. We would have to, it would cause rework if we did the ADA upgrades now and then did a renovation.
We don't have to do the ADA work right away. We have time.
We have 3 years.
Okay.
Yes, and the Mass Architectural Board will look to see if we have a plan. So let's say ADA gets triggered, they will look to see that this town meeting warrant approved $175,000 to do NERI feasibility and schematic design, and they'll see that we're going through the process. So just as long as we can prove that we're making forward progress towards ADA upgrades, then we should be okay.
Mr. Butler, I'm going to respectfully ask you to yield to the folks behind you, but please stay in line. But let's have new speakers first.
Amanda Rosenberg, 19 Fitzgerald Lane. Could you answer what happens to the current 4th and 5th grade students if the roof fails? And if there's any cost associated with what we would need to do to house those students?
Sure. So the risk with the roof right now is that is of it blowing off, not caving in. So that's what our experts have told us. If the roof were to blow off, we would go into crisis mode, like we would with any of our buildings, that would then cause us to figure out a relocation plan for those students, in which case we would probably be looking at adding modulars to our other schools, which there is a significant cost to those, especially if it's a more permanent solution, meaning we don't have a plan to move the students back to NERI school, for example.
Do you have a scale of how much that would cost, the modulars?
So it costs $1 million a year to add modulars at Finn and Woodward.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Next at Mike D.
Vincent Valvo, 7 Lattiscomber Road. So now that the motion has changed, the information that's on the original paper, the voting for that is no longer useful. So I'd like to hear from the Select Board, the School Committee, and the Advisory Committee on how they would be voting now with this new motion.
Okay, that's a good question. So with the motion as made, is the position, let's start with Select Board, is the position changed?
The position has not changed. I know this is confusing. We expected this to happen, so our vote is still unanimously, very strongly to approve Article 4.
All right, how about Advisory?
Yes, advisory took a straw poll on this article, pending the language change that has happened tonight, and we just took our official vote, and we are still in unanimous support of the roof replacement at NERI as the article is now, as the motion is on the floor.
All right. Go ahead, just.
School committee is unanimously in support of this 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Butler.
John Butler, 4 Davis Road. I have a follow-up question to my earlier one. In the past, sometimes when we've had capital articles that were going to be subject to an exclusion vote for the repayment of the capital, the warrant article has said that words to the effect of subject to a positive capital exclusion vote. This does not have that language in it, but you indicated that you plan to put it on the ballot for exclusion. Does that mean that if it failed at the ballot, you would fit this in under the cap, and would that be your option to do so? I believe it would be, but I'm not sure about the law in that case. So I was just wondering, since you said you are going to put this on for capital exclusion, what's the plan if it fails at the ballot box? Are you going to try to fit it in under the cap? And can you do so? Thanks.
So, Mr. Butler, we have not talked about the impact of a failed vote at the ballot. It's 50% vote, as you know. We are assuming it's going to pass here and there because of the dire need for it. If it didn't pass, we've got to do something about this roof. So we would, I believe we would discuss trying to bring it in under the cap, although it wouldn't be easy to do.
And does that imply that the law is, I can't remember the statute on this, if you put it in for a capital exclusion vote and it fails, it doesn't nullify the town meeting vote? I can't remember.
Town council is going to speak to that very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. This is not expressly contingent on the success or failure of that ballot vote. But to what Ms. Cook was saying is there's a certain limit that you're allowed to borrow within the debt limit, right? So this would exceed that. So you wouldn't have capacity to go inside the debt limit without an exclusion. So they would have to reduce it. But you're right, it's not expressly contingent. Do you understand what I mean?
I'm not sure I feel like belaboring it for the,
Okay.
but I'm satisfied, thanks.
For the record, too, the roof is going to be replaced this summer. So that's the plan. The minute the kids get out is to get the roof started and have it almost done by the time they start back school in the fall.
All right, C, then A, then D.
Hi, Cami Espezi, 63 Richards Road. I just have a question. The $4.5 million is, there's no official bids, right? And so does this, A, still need to go out to official bid? How many bids do we need to get? And is there any chance, like, that it's going to come in more than this?
There's always a chance. Chance could go either way. So this is an estimate, but it's been done by a very capable firm, and there is a contingency cushion in this number. So they seem to be fairly confident that the number is more than what's going to be needed to do this. But it can always be wrong. I think we need, help me, Mark, 3 bids for this. So it does need to be bid for sure. 3? Okay, but how many bids?
So you're going to
Mr. Purple.
Thank you. So you're going to put this out for competitive bids, so it could be one bidder, it could be 10 bids that we get in. It all depends on who wants to put in for the project. So it's not just a certain number you're looking for, but, you know, we need at least one.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Cleary.
Yeah, Jim Cleary, 51 Central Street. One of the things you've got to understand as citizens of this town, this is a piece of our property. This is an asset of the community. When I went and toured the school, when I was awarded the due, I was just really upset when I saw the condition of the roof and saw what was going on in the building. But now this is an opportunity to get it fixed, get it safe quick. And I think moving forward, we got to understand one thing. Let's say 10 years, 15 years down the road, or even sooner, we don't need it as a school. But that's a valuable asset. It's a building, a structurally sound building. What will the demands and the needs of this community be? You know, in town government alone, you see the town hall is this old building, modified. You've got the senior center, which is kind of small. If you go to Northborough, you'd say, oh my God. And so that this building may play out to us somewhere else. But the importance of this article, when I got these and I looked at them, I knew I was going to vote for one. I knew I was going to vote for 4 in particular because of this roof. And we're kind of hemming and hawing about other things. The important thing is to get this into design and get quotes on the construction cost of this to be done. And make this building safe. That roof needs to be fixed, not maybe next year. We have kicked this building down the road since 2002. No other good community would do that. We were the thought of we're going to rebuild, we're going to build a new school, and so on and so forth. Now we've learned a lesson we can all learn from in the future, government-wise as well as we, the citizens, who really were the one pushing that. So I strongly urge you to vote for this Article 4 and get this behind us and get this school done. Thank you.
All right. Microphone D. Microphone D.
I'm Elise Sarknos. I'm at 10 Summit Road. And my question is we plan to redo this roof during the summer when the kids aren't there. However, our extended day program holds camp there every summer. So where are we planning to put these children and this camp, seeing as they've already signed up and started paying for this at least a month ago?
Hi, Keith Lavoie, Assistant Superintendent of Operations. Elise, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Be glad to answer your question. I did speak with Director Packard this morning about this exact question, and we would gladly be moving the program to one of the other buildings, and we look forward to the opportunity to do that, but this will not interrupt any of the SEDP programming for the summer.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comment or question on the motion on Article 4? And I see nothing in the gym, and I see nothing else here. Article 4 is a borrowing article. If it passes, we're going to borrow this money. So that requires a 2/3 majority. This is exactly what the clickers are good for. So let's do that. Let me know when you guys are ready down front, okay? All right, last chance for tonight, I think. All in favor of the motion under Article 4, well, no, I'm sorry, clickers. Yes or no on Article 4? Open the vote. And while we are tabulating, hold on, please. Our town clerk, 2 things. He sets this up. It is no small task. A hand for town clerk Jim Edelman. He's the reason I get to show up at 5:45. Number 2, applications for mail-in ballots for the town election are in the back on your way out, should you so choose to pick one up. Personally, I'd like to see you all on Election Day, but do as you will. All right. Yes, okay. The motion on the screen, the words on the screen includes the associated ADA. That's out, as you know, from Ms. Cook's motion is what we're actually voting on. So that, just consider that a Scrivener's error. 10 more seconds on the vote, please, unless I see a hand. 9, 8, 7, 6. Those of you who like to beat my count, I've noticed you're doing that, by the way. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Not that time. 377 yes. 33 no. Is the percent up there somewhere? Well, the green light means pass. Do I have a motion to dissolve this special town meeting? Second? We are adjourned.